I'm really happy to be introducing you to Jessie Hughes today. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered here today. The Flying Arts Office, where I'm located, is the Turrbal and Yagara people, and I extend that acknowledgement to the traditional owners wherever you are listening in from. I'd like to acknowledge that colonialism is an ongoing process and that sovereignty was never ceded. I'm from Flying Arts. Very quick introduction. We're a not-for-profit organisation. We've been around since 1971. We're dedicated to supporting Queensland artists across the entire region in a number of capacities through the Regional Arts Fund, the Queensland Regional Art Awards, the BioQuest program, and the public programs, which include creative consultations, webinars, workshops, and intensive. Of course, this webinar is part of that program. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to pop them in the little chat at the bottom right hand of your screen, and we will get those questions to Jessie. So I'd like to introduce Jessie. She's an internationally recognised Australian new media artist, technologist and screenwriter. Her works have been exhibited most notably at the Sundance Film Festival, Cannes and the Tate Modern. Hughes has been named one of Australia's future changers for her commitment to using digital innovations for positive social impact and was awarded the prestigious 2020 Sir John Monash Scholarship. She's implemented solutions for tech giants like Oculus, Facebook, and Adobe, and has featured in numerous media articles across radio, newspaper, and TV. We are excited to have Jessie here with us today to share her knowledge on AI and the creative industries. So without any further ado, I'll hand you over to Jessie.
Thank you so much for that intro, Simone. I'm going to chuck on my screen sharing and we can get into today. So hi, my name is Jessie. I have been really interested in this AI space for the year. So as Simone mentioned, I come from a pretty diverse background between the arts, design, tech, and research. These have been my kind of like play tools this year. So Midjourney, it's awesome for the Discord. ChatGPT, it's really, really good for language. Splash is really cool for music, so generating music. Runway is cool for animation, and Stable Diffusion is cool for being able to create content which doesn't fall within the kind of like boundaries that are applied to a lot of the other platforms. On other AI generators like Midjourney or DALL-E or some of these other ones you might have heard of, they have a lot of safety protocols built in, which is a good thing for trying to make sure that people aren't creating, like hateful content. But it is also a bit restrictive as a creative when you want to make something and the platform might think it's inappropriate or doesn't have the ability to kind of differentiate whether that's positive or not. Just like as a quick example, I wanted to make this like song about, like coming out and being, confident with your sexuality or whatever. And the ChatGPT was like, I can't write this song for you because I think it was worried that it was going to be like not positive. And so just to know that there are constraints on a lot of these softwares which are there for safety. So this is what we're going to cover today. So Midjourney is a really good platform. Pictures, ChatGPT for text, Splash Pro, awesome for music, Runway, cool for animation, and Stable Diffusion for not safe for work content / anything that's kind of considered 18 plus. These are the ones I was talking about, made in 10 minutes. I think my prompt was something along the lines of like girl running in field, wind, probably something to do with motion. I think I said camera low, but these are pretty beautiful pictures. And to be honest, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know that that wasn't a photograph. And this again is like 10 minutes of work without correction. This is what I was talking about with the nose, like her face is a bit funky. Like I probably would have fixed that one up. There was another one where her hand, isn't great. So, but just so you know, this is like, can be done like that now. Okay, these are some of my dudes who I love. I think they're really fun. This is that animation style I was talking about. So like this was just referencing claymation. I think I had like a few references to some pop culture things. I very, very excitingly have been asked to design a surfboard line, the artwork on a surfboard line. And so this was me just playing around with what could possibly be. Usually you would have to have like full 3D understand, like being able to use 3D platforms, software to be able to create content like this. Now it can come with a sentence. I can write a sentence and create pictures like that, which is insane. Again, these were just really like quick little plays and stuff like that. Ethically, is this allowed? Is this appropriate? Like these tattoos, the cultural significance of these different tattoos. This is, if this was going to be on a magazine, like not a single person gets residuals. Like you don't need to hire a photographer anymore is what I'm trying to say. I can be the photographer. I can be the stylist. I can be the creator. I can be the fashion designer. Like I can be everything all of a sudden. Yeah. So that's pretty like insane. I made this song for everybody. So let's see if it works or not. Oh, great. It's not working. Okay, cool. I made that this morning in 2 minutes my prompt was something along the lines of like, write a rap song that is like inspiring for artists or something about AI. And these are the lyrics that it gives. This would take me a lot of time to commit to this bit, right? To sit down and write this song. I used ChatGPT to write the lyrics with a prompt. I used Midjourney to quickly whip up this picture, and I used Splash to make that song. Splash was a little bit harder because I had to get the beat right to be able to like rap on top of it. But just know that is where we're at the moment. And this is me like dipping my toes. If I had all the time and money in the world, this is where I would be playing right now because it's insane what we can do. Okay, so that's like the little warm up of where we're going. So this talk, I initially built it. So I have a background in the film industry. And so I initially built this in terms of like Netflix because everyone was getting really upset about AI being used. And I understand. I've given a lot of lectures this year. Artists are very unhappy. One of the main reasons artists were unhappy was because the training models, so the way this AI systems work, they've been trained on people's work without permission. And that is unfortunately it's just been done. The cat's out of the bag. I don't think there's any way to go back. There's a lot of court cases going on in the States about people trying to sue people because, they trained a system on their book or their novel or their song or their artwork. But the reality is it's just taken everything it can off the internet and trying to train these models. The good things are AI is just absolutely phenomenal what we can achieve. And there's some really, really good things. But I understand why people are upset. Okay, so this talk was like, what do we forget Netflix is big tech? So Netflix is an interesting example when I talk about this thing from a film industry because Netflix is a tech company and everyone wants it to be kind of like we picture it like against the Disneys and all these other film studios, but the reality is like it is foundationally a tech company that it is really, really, really good machine learning algorithms to be able to recommend content that you're going to enjoy. So like personalization algorithms. So yeah, machine learning has been around for like yonks. It's just in the last year that generative AI has kind of like really, really blown to the top. I include this in the talk when I talk about that because I was actually found as a screenwriter because of AI. So Imagine Impact is Ron Howard's screenwriting initiative. They have a software or machine learning system that can read scripts and be able to flag what they believe are going to be a quality script. This is all very secretive how they do this. Personally, I think it probably looks for certain flags or themes on how it can kind of find those voices. They're actually using this technology with like other, Skydance and Netflix and Imagine, all these other big studios. What's interesting is they're now pivoted into LinkedIn for the film industry because that's the kind of where we are at with tech, where like algorithms are hiring people for jobs because they're reading people's CVs. Like it's just a new era that we're kind of in. That's a scene I like, but it just talks about this idea of like McDonald's sells burgers, but it's a real estate company. Like that's what they actually do. It's about real estate. Netflix does make movies, but it's a tech company. So they have some of the best machine learning engineers on the planet. Okay, so my background on this kind of stuff is, from this tech standpoint. So I kind of got involved back when virtual reality was really kicking off. And the reason I'm so excited to talk to artists is because I think artists have a very different approach to technology. A lot of my friends are hardcore techies and they're really excited to just like how to build stuff and like how to build cool tech. Artists look at the tech and the tools and like, oh my god, what can I do with this? So I think us kind of embracing it and being like, how do we push this? Like, how do we do some fun cool stuff with it? I think it was really exciting. So generative AI. So this was like a very bad movie that was made 6 years ago, I think. They just used like phone text, when it would be like, what's coming next? And they made this like, so they wrote a script using AI and like actually went and filmed it for this like little film competition. Gave it this kind of prompt being like, yep, a character does this, it does this. We need to have this sentence, do something like that. I think this was 2016, 17 maybe. And people like thought it was funny. Like it was a good little laugh. But now where we are at is kind of like, oh, this stuff is good, like very good. So ChatGPT absolutely took the world by storm earlier this year. So it was actually the fastest growing consumer software in history. Over 100 million users signed up in under 2 months, which is absolutely insane. And then every other competitor like jumped on board, like anyone in this space is investing in AI right now, simply because it is this new frontier really. Now, I just want to be clear with you guys the difference between traditional AI and what we're calling generative AI. So traditional AI has been used for yonks. Pretty much it's really, really, really good at pattern recognition. So it can look at a series of things and be able to identify patterns within that and therefore be able to predict things because it recognizes those patterns. Generative AI is different because it does pattern generation. You can see all of these different patterns that have happened, and then because of those patterns, be able to create more stuff in relation to that. So all of these things are constantly just guessing and predicting and trying to follow kind of this pattern of, okay, what could be next? Now, this is a bit of confusion, I think, that people had with ChatGPT, where they thought what it was telling you was accurate. What ChatGPT gives you is not always accurate. It can, a lot of the time, be very inaccurate, actually, because it's just reading the web, trying to come up with the right answer. It doesn't know if it's the right answer or not. And so I think that is something that we have to be really, really aware of. A lot of people are starting to use ChatGPT as they would like a search browser like Google. But yeah, it's a bit problematic here because I think there's a lack of education that's kind of happened as well. What it is very good at, and in the last, I think it's the last month, they've just done another update with, I actually pay for ChatGPT now. So the business models have changed a bit where it's like, if you want to be the top tier of better access, you just, I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. And yeah, it's just meant to be like better answers and faster, and that you're prioritized the queue for your stuff getting processed. So the responses that I have been able to get out of ChatGPT are phenomenal, like truly, truly phenomenal. I think a few months ago, I gave a talk and I was a bit like, oh yeah, like it's never going to replace us though. Like, yeah, it's good. I'm at a point being like, oh my God, I couldn't write that articulately as this system does. So something to flag. Right, now, I'm just going to show you this software. So this is Athelia. So Athelia is an Australian company who had this idea of like, okay, well, how do we use AI to kind of write stories as a screenwriter? And you'd be able to put in your idea. You could select whether you wanted it to be like a sci-fi, a happy ending, whether you wanted, your audience, and all this kind of stuff. And it could create stories as synopses, but they were all right. Like, I think a lot of the time, like, these things are all right. They're not like groundbreaking because, again, it's just generating off what it already has, but they're not bad is the other thing to consider. So what Athelia then pivoted to, what they found more helpful and more actually desired by screenwriters and creators, was the ability to kind of like, what are we not good at as humans? Like, it's like being able to hold a bunch of information at once is quite hard for us, really easy for a computer. So if they as this example, you took Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Rings is an empire. Like, that is so much content to remember as a writer, as a screenwriter, being like, oh God, what was that other character and how was their relationship and what happened there? With this kind of software, you're able to like put in Lord of the Rings as the book or the script, whatever you have, put it in, and all of a sudden it can just go and kind of map out all these different character things. It could suggest, oh, well, these two characters speak this language and they had that thing with this one character at one time. What if we did this? So it's just being able to use as a tool for writers. I think it's just some really cool examples. For those who are feeling a bit worried, like Charlie Brooker, he is the creator of Black Mirror. If any TV show was going to use AI to write their script, like, it was going to be Black Mirror. But Charlie tried it and he was like, honestly, what I'm getting is not like the bar of what it needs to be. So that's kind of comforting that we're not at a point yet with it, but yeah. This Athelia with the other software company was showing about like no amount of prompting or conferring or cajoling with generative AI can make a story as good as Phoebe Waller, who did Fleabag, So it's saying in terms of creating original ideas, it's not excellent at that. But what it is very good at is being able to help you adapt a novel, being able to pivot on your ideas. Say, I have a concept. Let's give 20 other examples of what I could do with that concept. So that kind of thing. For me, it's all about thinking exponentially of like, okay, I have this thing. What else can we do with it? So where that kind of takes us is into this space of democratizing creativity. I use storytelling in this example, but for me, this is democratizing art. democratizing creativity, democratizing who has the ability to create. Now, I have a 3-year design degree, okay? I went to uni, paid however many, $24,000 or something like that, and then Canva came along. Canva is an exceptional product. And all of a sudden, anybody can go and make beautiful designed work that is of a standard that's industry standard. That might have freaked some designers out, where they were like, oh my God, like now I've lost my work, I've lost my job. I actually don't think it did. I think what it did was make good designers have to be better designers, right? Because it's like that rising tides raise all ships or something like that. But it's idea of, okay, well, look, everybody's just getting better at design now. It's like, surely that's a good thing that now we have more beautiful content, our stuff looks better, it's more seamless. Like I had a very interesting conversation with someone who was really, really upset that they're an academic, they were doing a PhD, and they were annoyed that now people could just use academic language. They're like, yeah, but anybody can use academic language now. And I thought this was hilarious because academic language has purposefully been used to gatekeep and push people away and be like, I'm better and smarter than you. This is why I'm using these big words. Whereas now somebody else can take their essay, put it in ChatGPT, say, hey, can you make this sound a bit better? Bang, all of a sudden it's more articulate and sounds better and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I think as well as creatives, this is something that we're going to have to be a bit like, just have to kind of get on board with, because I think artists like to feel that we're the only people who can like have good ideas. The reality is everybody has good ideas. Okay. So everybody does have good ideas. It's just in terms of craftsmanship and skill sets, right? I think we are always going to have the craftsmen, the people who are excellent at their craft. So you have these excellent writers, they're always going to be excellent writers. You have beautiful designers, they're always going to be beautiful designers, right? But in terms of the generic populace, I think we're going to be seeing just an increase in more content, better content. And I think by people getting better, it's just going to make us want to be better kind of thing. So I actually have a very optimistic outlook on it. This is some stuff about the strike. I don't know if any of you are writers. The strike wasn't because of AI, but AI has become a part of the discussion. Yesterday, this thing came out. This is like the quote that came out. It was like, AI cannot be used to write or rewrite scripts, and AI generated writing cannot be considered source material, which prevents writers from losing out on writing credits due to AI. What's interesting with this is we talk about writing credits, and this was the problem that was really upsetting the writing community, because we get paid depending on our credit. So it's like depending on what you're credited as for a thing is how much money you get and your residuals and all this kind of stuff. And so what this has said is something that's created by an AI cannot hold the credit. But what's interesting is on an individual level, writers can use it as tools, right? What I find really murky about this kind of stuff is you can't tell what is written by an AI and not written by an AI. There is no way to tell. People have been trying, like I work at universities, and this is something which people are getting upset about. But it's a sense of like, yeah, you really can't. I mean, with those pictures I showed you earlier, I could flag ways that I can kind of tell visually. With writing, you really can't. Some interesting things that the governments have tried to like propose is like tax breaks relation stuff. So in movies, tax breaks are a massive producer kind of element in terms of, oh, well, this state is going to give me a 30% tax break, so we'll go shoot it there. So some threat was coming out from like this New York legislator being like, well, if you choose to use AI for a thing instead of a natural person, so a natural person is a human being, then therefore we're not going to give you these tax breaks. So it's like, it's interesting the government is trying, like people are trying to figure out how to legislate this kind of stuff, but because it's so fast moving and unknown, it's a bit hard. The other thing is to consider is like AI in post-production. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing. Something that would have taken an editor 2 weeks to make, they can make in 2 days now, because they're not doing stupid time-consuming stuff of going through an entire 10 hours worth of film content to find a shot. They can now just Google shot of car, and all of a sudden they've got every shot that was shot of a car within that thing, and they can put it in as an editor. So this is why legislation and governance has been really hard in tech, because tech moves at a thing called techno speed. Techno speed is like genuinely. And I've been, giving these talks every few weeks. Every single week there is a change, and there is a jump, and there is an advancement. So yeah, trying to govern something like that is hard, and I think going to become very outdated very fast. This, in terms of shows, interesting in terms of actors. I don't know if anybody here is from at the acting theatre world. What they wanted to do is be able to license people's identity, like it's called a digital likeness. So for example, if an actor comes in for a day of work, I scan their digital likeness, and then all of a sudden I have the right to deep fake their face onto anything I want. This is something which is problematic because like it's something that they can do. So SAG is actually still in the they're still striking because they haven't come to a deal, but I think this will be interesting. Some actors have been actively giving up their voice, like making agreements to be like, okay, cool, you can use my voice for stuff. I saw today that Meta, so Facebook, they have this like assistant that is of like Tom Brady and of Paris Hilton and all of these other celebrities. So there's totally been some deal there in terms of using their digital likeness as an AI assistant. I don't know. This is a weird space. So I'll show you an example of a deep fake. So this is a really cool music video made by the guys who do South Park. It was for Kendrick Lamar, and he deep faked between all of these like famous and infamous Black celebrities, and like the transition is just absolutely seamless. So I'm just going to try and show you. Here we go. So he goes from deepfake tech is incredible and one of the scariest things that we're going to approach in our modern time, because nothing that you see can be proven if it's real or not. So that's interesting. This was an example of a scene where like the actor had been given creative control to just, ad lib while she was stuck on the top of the mountain or whatever. Anyway, she swore heaps during the scene. Then that got round to the studio, and they're like, okay, well, we can't have those swear words because now we've limited our audience. And so they're like, okay, cool, we'll deepfake it. We'll just change it and to be able to a different word. Then this for language, for Japanese, you can't hear, but this is like she's speaking fluent Japanese. They've changed her lips to be able to move. So like when we used to watch like dubbed stuff, I remember watching dubbed content as a kid, and it was so distracting because the voices didn't match what you were hearing. This tech is just like bang, now it's in Japanese, now it's in Spanish, now it's done. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Some scary stuff with it is actors can have spent their entire day on set doing their scene, and then all of a sudden they go to the movie premiere and they're saying stuff they've never said. So that's a bit worrisome. There was an example of like being able to, because you can visually alter anything. It's like, okay, well, say you had a deal with Pepsi and then the Pepsi deal fell through, and then you were like, okay, we'll do a deal with Coke. So I can just go through and just change all the Coke to the Pepsi stuff. Then when I watch the thing again, it's like, wait, wasn't it Coke? Oh no, it's Pepsi. Like, everything we see can't be proven true or false. Now, politics, horribly scary stuff, especially with our virality of if something is provocative, it goes viral literally instantly. And the problem is we don't know whether it was real or not. So like in terms of politics, very left leaning, but like if I was a Trump supporter, if you wanted to take someone down, you would do a fake video of Biden like maybe like stumbling or like forgetting something or like slightly falling down some stairs, like something like very subtle but believable that then like affects his credibility. And as a viewer, if I saw that video, I wouldn't question whether it was real or not, because I'd be like, oh God, that sucks, and just move on with my day. So this technology, I think, is going to be very problematic, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of legality around that. Noelle, she's amazing. She's one of my mates. She won Australian of the Year. So Noelle was actually deep faked into pornography when she was 18, and it was circulated and it was out there and there was nothing you can do. This is like a real scary thing because deepfake technology is so easy. I've been testing deepfaking because I think it's something that I need to understand, and the fact that I can do that on my computer and just make fake content of people is pretty bloody petrifying. There's some examples of like influencer kids, like YouTube star kids, because there's so much content of them allowed. We can train like voice AI, and they would like mean evil people, I don't know, would like call their parents with the kid's voice being like, hey, mum and dad, you need to send them money. Like they've got me ransom. Like you need to send me money. All completely fake. So that tech exists. The good thing is, as scary and dark as it is, there's actually some really, really cool creative stuff we can do, especially as artists, that I think we need to be able to leverage. If we can create anything, like that's pretty exciting, I actually think. Google has been doing some awesome stuff. Like if it's something you're really interested in getting into, totally check out their things in terms of this music stuff that they're working on is pretty cool. I've got some examples at the end that we'll go through. I have like a script for like an angsty little teen movie, and it's like pop ton, it feels like chance and about to lose virginity. So it's like this exciting kind of song that's a bit nervous and anxious. It's good. It's not amazing, but it's fine. And I have no music background whatsoever. And all of a sudden, I have been able to create a song that would be totally usable in a video that I posted online, and I would have full copyright or I wouldn't have any copyright issues. So I wouldn't have to hire a composer, which sucks, but like, well, this is the thing, right? So it's like, if I wanted it to be good, I would hire a composer. If I needed it to just be fine, I would use this, right? And I think that's the same analogy with Canva. It's like, if I wanted to do something exceptional, I would hire a good graphic designer. If I just wanted something to be made tomorrow, I would just use a platform. So I think it's all about like what we're using it for. Okay, this one is a cool example of Salvador's painting. Put it into kind of a system that's able to say, this is what that picture is, and be able to generate music based off that image, right? I think in terms of composing, there's gonna be some amazing stuff that happens. Like if you're able to put a scene in and it can read the scene and be able to create music based off what it's seeing, like that's cool. Really, really cool. Okay, so generative AI obviously took the world by storm. If you're on Instagram, it's everywhere. Like if you saw that in a magazine, you would be like, God, that's a beautiful picture, right? And this absolutely stunning picture. These are completely generated. Isn't that crazy? And yeah, and like that's the fact. It's just getting good, really good at being able to write prompts. Now, I think this person, Matt, has a really good eye in terms of like the reference images that he uses to be able to get these. I think he has a background in either art or photography, or because he's able to articulate what it is that he wants. And I think that's the difference with people who are stepping into this space where it's like, oh, the pictures are fine, but they're nothing exciting. Whereas people who have arts language and arts history and really good references, you're able to create really cool content because you can articulate what it is that you want the system to be able to give you. Just as a bit of a flag, so you see this kind of aesthetic. You've probably seen this on the internet. This is, I would assume, made through a thing called Runway. Runway is like a really cool animation with generative stuff, but it has a very clear aesthetic because what it's doing is almost kind of like a GIF. It's going through like image. It's noticeable right now. So animation with Gen AI is a bit identifiable right now, and I think the beauty of good Gen AI I've seen is when you can't tell the difference. It's indiscernible. Whereas with this kind of stuff, it is noticeable. They got so much kickback from their audience for releasing this. People were furious. So this show is actually based off a comic book artist's work, and the audiences were furious that they hadn't given that work to an actual artist. Just know that if you are going to venture in and use this kind of stuff for your work, people are a bit iffy about it right now. And so you run a risk of upsetting audiences. Just be prepared for kickback that someone might turn around and say, like, that's not yours, or like, stop taking credit. It's just a space that feels a bit, and until I think there's a growth in digital literacy of the role of a prompter, that kind of comes out. It'll be curious to see in terms of commissioning for like a gallery exhibition, like what curators are happy to include AI generated work within their exhibition, and whether it has that kind of sense of, well, it has to pass across a line of being indiscernible. Maybe not. I think it depends on the gallery. But yeah, there was a lot of upset when a AI generated photograph won a photography competition. I'm sure you've seen that. And the reason it upset people was because no one touched a camera, but you could write a prompt that made a really beautiful image. So it's like, well, do we care more about the finished product, or do we care about the creative process? And I've had really good chats with my artist friends where most creatives are more invested in their creative process because they enjoy the creative process, whereas some artists are more interested in the finished product because that's, what other people see. So that's going to be down to you to decide. I personally love the process of prompting. I think I'm loving creating with AI right now because it is a very iterative process. Like if you want your image to be good, you spend a lot of time trialing different versions and upscaling and redoing your tweet and going in and fixing things and that kind of stuff. So I actually think it does have a really fun creative process, but it's totally different to anything I've ever done before in terms of the arts world. Oh, I thought I'd show you this quick example of, so when I'm with VP, so like this is a script that someone's written and they've just gone, press the button and said, read the script, and all of a sudden it's generated this like 3D animation of the script. Now that's really, really cool if you're pitching a show to somebody and you need them to kind of be able to see, like half of the job of an artist is trying to convince other people to see what you're seeing, right? And so, yeah, I think this is a productive tool, being able to be like, okay, here's my script, here's the vision. I'm not looking at that and being like, oh, that's the finished product. Like to me, I'm like, that is just a way to be able to get them to give you money to then be able to go and make the thing you actually want to make. So again, again, the way I kind of talk about this stuff, like it is very much so a tool to assist and help artists. Like I think this is a good thing. Yeah, so this is like a database of being able to be like, I want an aerial view of a car, and all of a sudden it can go and give me every view of cars from above. I have this whole thing about Netflix. I think I'm just gonna skip it so we can get into the demos. Just as a general reminder, like, yeah, Netflix is built off personalization algorithms, which is all machine learning. So their goals of like being able to provide content to bring joy. Secondly, we must make it effortless and intuitive to choose from our library. Every single bloody platform that you use is based on machine learning. So you've got like TikTok, amazing personalization algorithms. You've got Netflix, like all of these things are just trying to give you what it is that you want. I don't know if you know this or not, but like this is your Netflix home screen. That every single bit of that is different to you versus your partner versus your brother versus you, whoever, you know, like this is designed for you based off machine learning because it's trying to figure out what you want. So we're in this space of like algorithms are incredible and it's only going to get better and better. This is what I would call traditional AI versus or machine learning versus generative. So all of these pictures, right? All of these pictures are completely generated based on your information. So say I do watch lots of like, you know, young adult content, like I love YA. So I would see this picture. Whereas if you're into horror films or something like that, like you're going to get targeted that picture. So a lot of the times, like the things that we're seeing, we aren't all seeing the same thing. We know that in terms of our social media bubbles and all that stuff, that you're just going to get fed things that feed to your belief, which is problematic as well because you're in silos. It's just a weird time in tech right now. I mean, like these artworks were completely optimized. So it's like, oh, if I've watched Kill Bill, it's going to show me this picture of the same actress because it's most likely that I'm like, oh, I saw her in a movie the other day. I'm probably going to watch that movie. So that's pretty incredible that they're able to generate that. Okay, these are the things I just want to make people think about because when we talk about generative AI, it's pattern creation. It's creating patterns from the data that it has. From the information it has, it's therefore going to then go and create something based off that. The problem being, if the data is missing people's stories, they can't create stuff. So I went to this amazing talk at Screen Queensland the other day, and this beautiful woman was just talking about this idea of like these stories about Aboriginal like stories have been for the past however many hundreds of years created for a white audience. It has not been a Western audience. Like it's not been that we're having this First Nation storytellers creating these films for First Nations audiences. It's been for different audiences. And because of that, this idea of gaze is missing. So when I talk about gaze, I talk about this in the sense of like, if you read scripts that were written in the 90s, all of the future episodes that it would write would have blonde, skinny woman as the love interest who kisses the man at the end of the story. That is what the AI would give you because that is what it has been trained to do. And this, well, fortunately, at a really nice point where it's like, well, diversity is important. We want stories that are diverse. We want stories that have not been told. And by this idea of gaze, of like how we can shift gaze to be for the right people, by the right people, you know? So I think this is just something to flag. If you're using ChatGPT or something like that to create a story, you are going to get stereotypes. If you're using Midjourney to create visuals, you are going to get stereotypes because that's what it's doing. It's eating the data and giving you more of it. Some really, really cool stuff has happened. I think it was Midjourney where they went and put a whole new data set into their thing because if you were like, make me a picture of a CEO, they were all like 50-year-old bald white men. And now if you put it into the system, it gives you women and people of different ethnicities and all this kind of stuff. And so they've actually had to retrain all their data, which is really cool, but something to consider. Okay, business models, totally going to change. If it's not already happening, it's totally going to change. I mean that in the sense of like, for example, a wine company came to me and they're like, we need to generate all these photography content for their social medias, right? And it's like, okay, usually you would hire a photographer. They would go out. You would probably have like a producer maybe. You would have to maybe hire some models. You would have costume, makeup. Who else would be on the scene? You know, so you've got a team. You'd probably do like a day shoot to make sure there was enough content. That's at least $20,000 maybe for that photo shoot. I can, in one afternoon, give them everything they've wanted by doing a bit of code. And that would have taken 3 hours if I wanted to like correct it. How much money do I charge them for that? It took me 3 hours, but it saved them 20 grand. So what do you charge? So something to consider. Copyright, super messy. Nobody knows what's going on. I think this kind of step forward with what happened with the strike yesterday was kind of interesting in the terms of like, you can't copyright something that was created with the Gen AI, but then if I edit on top of it, like if I then take that into Photoshop and do a few other other things isn't mine. Who owns what? And this is constantly changing, and I don't have an answer for you because we don't know. And democratizing creativity, us all just kind of getting prepared to be like, okay, creativity is an innate human thing that belongs to everybody. Artists are craftsmen, and that's amazing, and we maintain our craft, but we've got to prepare that the tide is going to rise for everyone and things are going to get better and look better, and that means the bar is higher. An amazing example was like when the camera was invented, right? The camera came along and everybody was losing their minds because the oil painters were like, but oil painters, like what are we going to do? We're going to lose all our jobs and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but also like now, if you're an oil painter, you are the best bloody oil painter around. It's not just an anyone job. It's like very like, you know what I mean? And like, obviously photography is now a whole new art form or new medium that's opened new boundaries. We are at, it's called the fourth industrial revolution. We are at it. We are in it. This is happening, and I personally believe it's just a matter of time as to who keeps up and who doesn't. It's just a new process, and I think it's a good thing. It should be a positive thing. Okay, I'm going to get into some demos so that we can have some examples. Okay, so this is, you know, those pictures of like the weird clay surfer dudes. This is like what I wrote. Clay, claymation, stop motion, NFTS, that's a film school animation graduate show, a close-up of a statue of Bigfoot wearing sunglasses, Rex Orange County, video animation, full body tattoos, paper, mache, stylized portrait, H1280, portrait of a Bigfoot surfer, hands doing shackers, profile picture, cursed imagery, etc. I then played and built on all these kind of things. This is the idea of what a prompt is, right? And to get good at prompting, there's a lot of resources online on how you can get good at it, but you also need to understand what you're asking for. Now, I love claymation. I love stop motion. Like, so this is something that I'm quite familiar with. Texture, paper mache. That's a texture, right? I can do it. You could say glass. You could do literally whatever medium you're interested in. I give definitions of what I'd want. I want a portrait. Okay, let's do some interactive things so I'm not screaming at you. Okay, so this is Midjourney. Now, you need to install Discord. So this is Discord. This is a Discord server. When you first install it, you're going to see this. And this is kind of like every single person. So I can see what everybody's working on right now. So this is like, for example, this person, I can see what they're doing. So also know that if you are going to be getting into this kind of stuff, everybody can see your work unless you make a private server. I've made a private server. But these images are pretty good. So they were realistic photo of people swimming in a pool at home, relaxing during a long weekend in Australia, photography, photorealistic, Canon. So this is where this is important. Pay attention to this stuff. Okay, Canon, EOS, 5D, Mark camera, 50 millimeters, blah, blah. This is all photography terminology, right? Now, if you are in photography, you understand these terms, you know what they mean. This is kind of interesting to kind of listen to. This person who's clearly making a coloring in book. So they've said coloring page for kids, sloth hanging from the branch, cartoon style, thick line, low detail, no shading, AR 911, and they're building upon it. This is cute ads. When I was starting, this was really helpful because you can see like how other people speak. Now, I can also take their work though, so just know that. I could say, oh, I love this picture. So these are different terms. So it goes in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Variation. If I press that, it's going to give me a variation of this image. If I press that, it's going to give me a new variation of that image. So it's going to be 4 new pictures based off that picture. If I say I love this picture, I think this is a great picture, I can upscale it and I can go and have a look at it. Now this person's going to be like, what is she doing? Because I'm taking their picture. And now I have this picture, which I love. It's a cute picture. Yeah, so if you don't want other people to see it, you have to make a private server. So this is my private server. So let's play a game. Let's have something interactive. What should we make? What would people like to make? A goddess. We can make a goddess. Do you have any preferences? Ari, this character. Model for t-shirts in varying backgrounds. Okay, so let's maybe do a human character. Okay, so you do a slash, which is the start of it, and you say imagine. So slash imagine. This is what I'm just gonna play around with this because I worked on this the other day. Okay, we're gonna imagine a woman. Let's go. Imagine a woman, goddess. Maybe, what is she doing? Does she want to be like modeling or something? Woman goddess, portrait of goddess, fashion, something maybe. Laughing, nice. Yes, that's a good word. Okay, laughing, good. Let's go strong and beautiful. I'm gonna add maybe lens flare. I don't know. Let's try that. See what we get. Okay, so it takes a bit of time to start. I'm in a queue probably. This is its processing time. So what the system's doing is it's trying to make sense of everything that I've said and its keywords. It's generating Generating. Cool. So you can start to kind of see what it's thinking about and what it wants to make. Almost there. Okay, cool. So this is the response that it's given us. Yeah, I mean, they're fine. Maybe, do we have a preference on any of these? Let's play on this one. Okay, so I think I want more versions like this. Sorry, that's upscale. So I'm going to make more variations on that one. So it's just having a think about it. So this one's now upscaled this for me. So if I wanted to use it, I could then go and open in my browser, and I have this high quality image, which I can then save. You can also use other technologies. If I wanted to make that really, really big as like a big bus print or something like that, I can up the quality. You can also take it into Photoshop. So if I wanted to see what the whole background was, I could take it into Photoshop and do a generative fill, and it will kind of predict what's in the background. So it might be like, oh, we'll add some more sky, we'll add some more plants and all that stuff. I would probably, to make this image more interesting, like say that I wanted some stuff in the background. But yeah, I mean, we've got all of these. They're fine. I don't think any of these are really particularly excellent. For me, there's not enough information on her face to be believable. Like, so I would probably add freckles. I would add, I don't know, depends what you wanted to do with it. But that's just like as a quick little example of what we're kind of doing. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some lyrics. Oh, by the way, this was my reference for that surfer character that I was like, oh, that's really cool. So it's about having really good references to be able to want to make some cool stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you ChatGPT. I'm sure everyone has probably played with ChatGPT, but this is what I wrote to get that song. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, I'm a songwriter and a rapper, and I'm needing to write lyrics for a 1-minute rap about the exciting possibilities of AN in the arts. The audience is artists. I want the rap to be inspiring and edgy as if it was by Eminem. Make it edgy, contemporary, and inspiring for artists to want to embrace this technology. And all of a sudden, about this chic rap. Gather around, it's a new dawn breaking, air in the arts, the earth was shaking, painting colors unseen, etc., etc. So I then took that into Splash, which does music. It's just like able to kind of generate music stuff. We can't listen to music, so there's probably no point in showing you this, but just to be able to show you what I wrote to get my song, you know, I was like hip hop, fast paced, dynamic, blah, 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 blah. Then it gives you a bunch of sounds, and you're able to also like add your lyrics. So I've gone and added my lyrics. I can choose whose voice I want. I pay for the software, so I can get different people's voices. Yeah, and there's like a lot of possibilities that can be done with that. It's annoying you can't hear it, but just roll with it. Yeah, so that's that. Stable Diffusion is really hard to install if you don't have a technical background, just because if you're trying to get into, say, like nude photography, or like just even like art styles that maybe include like, I don't know, women's breasts or something like that, a lot of these platforms don't allow that as a safety precaution. So it depends what you're trying to do or where you go. DALL-E released a new feature, which is cool for like more designy based stuff. Like if you're a graphic designer, probably go and play over there. But if, depending on whatever your practice is, I would just Google being like for writers, for painters, for thingy, like whatever your thing is, and it will be able to tell you the best software for that. The differences as well is different models that you train with. So like in Stable Diffusion, there's, for example, a really good model for photorealism, or there's a really good model for graphic design, this kind of stuff. So you put the right model on depending on what it is that you're trying to create. Okay, now I've been talking straight for an hour, so I thought I might let people have a few questions, and I'll just respond based off that. My like final say on the piece is I understand scary technology, but it is absolutely incredible what we can do as artists, and I don't think you should see it as a threat. I think you should use it as an incredible tool to be able to expand your own practice. That's my 2 cents.
We had a question earlier on. Does every AI program scrape the internet for content?
I personally don't actually, yes and no, right? So the models, these large language models, have been built by companies. They won't tell people how they've made them because firstly, they're direct competitors. Everybody's in direct competition right now. What's funny is because normal everyday people are using ChatGPT a lot now, it's getting dumber because humans are stupid and we write stupid things. We're ruining the data because we are inherently silly. And so it will be interesting to see what happens with that. The honest answer is I don't know, because different companies keep their stuff very secret and on purpose. But what's good is that because a lot of the like these like it's getting more into like the technicalities, but like we don't have to now go build. You don't need to have an IT degree to go and play with this stuff. Like these are friendly user-based tools. A lot of them are working, even like Stable Diffusion, because it is so hard to install. They've created Dream Studio or something, which is like a customer facing interface. So people are trying to make it accessible to people, which I love, but it is again going into democratizing access, which should be a good thing. I understand why specialists find that upsetting. So that's my answer. In response to the Claudia's question, no, ChatGPT is no expensive at all. I can't even remember how much it is. I would tell you. All of these software are free. So you can try any of these softwares for free. If you want premium experiences, then you pay. And by premium experience, I just mean a better model. You're top of the priority when things, you know how fast that picture generated for me? It's because I pay for it. But definitely like they're currently making things quite accessible on purpose because they want people to get on board with this tech. Is the answer. Blah, blah, blah. Can you remember AI courses for beginners? Okay, so honestly, Google has been so good. A lot of people are trying to capitalize on AI courses. Don't pay. Like you don't need to pay. If you want to pay, you can. But a lot of people put this stuff out for free, which has been great. Just literally Google, YouTube stuff. I learned everything I learned playing, to be honest. Getting the softwares installed is the hardest part. Once you have the software installed, just go play, go crazy. And every time I kind of watch a tutorial, I learn something new. And the other thing is everybody's learning. And so that's why I think when I talk about like techno speed, it's like, if you can figure this out now, like I think you're just going to be 6 months ahead of everyone else. The thing about AI is anybody can make it. It's like, it's just getting good at writing prompts. We are very lucky in that we have arts language and that we understand how to articulate a lot of these things. What I love about it is all of a sudden my arts history, I'm interested in different photographers' names and I'm interested in different artist styles and all this stuff. Like I'm using their names. So it's like, I have knowledge, like I'm actually expanding my arts history knowledge instead of abusing that. So I think that's been quite exciting. Does anybody else have any other questions? Best strong computer use. Okay. So I am a Mac user. I'll be a Mac user until the day I die, which is very annoying because Stable Diffusion does not like Mac. I haven't had any problems with the speed or anything like that, just using my Mac for stuff like Midjourney. If you are trying to get into like hardcore deep faking stuff, yeah, I'd probably like a good GPU would be better. There's also like Google has a thing called Google Colab, which you can, this is getting into like technical stuff, but like you can use their cloud-based thing to be able to run stuff on that instead of your own computer. But this is talking about like the technological stuff that I've found quite difficult as opposed to easy playing, creative, fun stuff. I want to spend my time making things, not in terminal trying to install software, which I unfortunately have spent too much time doing. So if you're going to start, just use one of the easy ones. I think like DALL-E, you can, if you want to just like play around, or Midjourney are probably your best bets to start with visuals, and then go into Runway if you're trying to do animations, or Splash if you're trying to do music, or ChatGPT if you're trying to write lyrics. They all have their own little things. Also for artist statements, like if you're trying to like, oh, this is the other hot tip. When you are using ChatGPT, tell it what the profession is at the start. If I was trying to write an artist statement, I would say, hey ChatGPT, I use Manners. You don't need to use Manners. I use Manners because I think they're going to take over the world. But hey ChatGPT, I'm a established Australian artist. I have an exhibit coming up. This is what my project's about. Like, could you help me refine how I discuss my thing? Then, you know, paste whatever your artist statement it is. And then it will be like, okay, cool, this sounds great. What if we worded it like this? Or what if we did this? If I was trying to write song lyrics, I'd say, hey ChatGPT, I'm a songwriter. I write songs. If I was trying to do a math equation, I would say, hey, I'm a mathematician. I'm doing this. So tell it what it is that you want to do. So the difference is, and this is really crazy, if you type into ChatGPT and you say, I'm a left-leaning voter, can you explain climate change to me? It will give you an answer. And if you say, hi, I'm a right-wing voter, can you explain climate change to me? You're going to get a completely different answer. And so because it's trying to predict based on the data that it has, yeah, in terms of using that to your advantage, just be cognizant that that's kind of like a tool that can be used. Does anybody else have any other questions? Can I download ChatGPT on my phone? Yes, you can. I have it on my home screen. So I'll show you how it works. So you just have an account. It looks like this. It's like that one. You go to it, and it comes up. Okay, so this is the difference. So you see that 3 and then 4. So 3 is just like the free version, like do whatever. ChatGPT 4 is the like really smart one. It says our most capable model, great for tasks that require creativity and advanced reasoning. So this is their model, which is all about like trying to be as smart as you can be. And yeah, and it has all your stuff. Also, it saves all of your things. So like if you use it for stuff, like just know that you can kind of reference it. I honestly just would implore you to play. Just play. This is how this tech works out, is to play with it. Prompting is the most important part about the whole thing, and experiment, and you just get better and better and better. Like I've only recently, I would say like in the last month, been playing with this stuff, and it's just been like day and night between my kind of technical abilities. So go out into the world. I promise it's a good thing. I know it feels like it's not a good thing. It is a good thing.
We've just got the last question. Are there good groups for learning and chat?
Yeah. So I'm just using Discord as an example because I like it. So this is Midjourney. A big thing about this thing is like member support. So that you can ask questions, people help each other. It's been really like positive. So you just kind of jump in a newbie room, and this is where you kind of like generate your stuff. So yeah, /imagine, and gives you the thing you want. Yeah, and like I can see what everybody's working on, and I can see how they write. Then if you want to kind of like hang out and talk to other people, you ask questions and people will reply to you. You can have some discussions about stuff, like different tools. It's been really, really helpful in me learning as well. Like if I see a picture like I was before, I saw a picture that I really liked, I kind of note what they wrote as their prompt, because I'm just like, wait, what did they do? How do I do that? But the other good thing about tech people is tech people share. Like it's really weird. Like they're all about like open source. Like I think a lot of other communities are quite like gatekeepy and don't want to tell each other how they make things. But in the tech world, people are quite open. If I had any advice, it's like get your reference images good, depending on what it is that you're doing. So for example, I'm for this surfboard company that I'm going to do, I'm going to spend a significant amount of time building up a database of reference images in terms of like what I want it to look like, what I want the character kind of thing. I already have like a bunch of ideas of what I want them to look like, but I need to be able to know what a computer thinks it's seeing. So like if I have a picture of that, claymation thing, there's tools out there that are able to get it for an AI to read that picture, see what it thinks it is, and then I can steal those words and use those words like claymation, stop motion, blah, 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 and use it as my reference when I'm talking about it. And if I wanted to get good at it, I would just spend hours just playing and generating and changing my prompt. Yeah, it's fun. It's very addictive. That's the problem. If you get into this, oh my gosh, babe, cancel your weekend, because it is so fun. And yeah, you can use visual prompts. Yeah, you can reference different images in the chat and that kind of stuff. So like if you had I know an artist who trained an AI on his entire body of work. He was a professional 3D artist for 10 years or something like that. And he trained a model off it and now presses a button and it creates artwork in his style. And that's his signature style. So I think that's going to be pretty common to see as well in terms of just being able to generate things at speed. The other thing is you can generate stuff that you may not have otherwise been able to create. He's an amazing artist, but he was like, I couldn't make this myself. It's like you need AI to be able to do stuff that we can't do. Positive, I promise.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jessie.
I'm so annoyed my song didn't play. I spent the morning making this song for you guys. Oh my God, actually, I can attach a file. Oh God, I should have done that from the start. Anyway, well,
we can share the video because we've done a recording, and then if you like, we can share that as well.
My amazing rap, I'm a cool rapper now. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Jessie, for a really fantastic discussion and for being so generous with your knowledge. If you have really enjoyed, as I'm sure everyone has, the discussion, Jessie's also on the 25th of November going to be doing a workshop which will be held at Southbank TAFE as part of the Flying Arts program. That's a full day workshop. So if you're interested in that, head to our website and you can book in there for that. We also have the Queensland Regional Art Awards at Flying Arts as well at the moment, and the entries are open and they're closing on the 6th of October. And if you live outside of Brisbane, that's another opportunity. So that basically concludes the webinar. And thanks everyone for coming, for the questions in the chat. And did you have anything else you wanted to end with, Jessie?
I would just say embrace it, honestly. I think if you don't embrace it, you're just going to get left behind, is my honest answer. I think this tech is without question, like the next 6 months kind of like coming. So I can't encourage you enough to really try and just learn it now, because it's just going to come. And if you're ahead of the curve, you tend to benefit better. So get it and play. It's a good thing. Cool.
You can use it for positive purposes.
Yes, positive purposes, for sure.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Cool. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a beautiful day today.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.